Hi guys, I am Kira from JeeLounge, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about JeeSports tournament series feature. The first thing is, as you may know, JeeSports hosts its own tournament from time to time. But JeeSports is really a platform that any tournament organizer can enjoy and use. We do encourage tournament organizers to actually use the platform in order to host their own tournaments. That said, the series concept is basically similar to what you have in tennis, for instance, where players would play in several tournaments, JeeSports in this case, or tournaments from other organizers hosted on JeeSports.com, and any tournament that is set has a certain number of stars based on the tournament notoriety. In the early days, we'll probably start, with all tournaments at an average number of stars, and as we get to know the organizers better, we will adjust the number of stars. So, tournaments have a certain number of stars. Depending on where you finish in a tournament, you will earn a certain number of points. The further you go in the tournament, the more points you earn, as well as the more notoriety a tournament has, the more points you would earn. So, for example, if you win a one-star tournament, it's going to give you a certain number of points. If you win a 6 stars tournament, it's going to give you much more points because this is a much more notorious tournament. So we have for tournaments ratings from 1 to 6, and depending on that, we set the number of points a participant, so players or team, would earn if they finish in the final and they win or they lost it. Same thing for semi-final, quarterfinals, etc., etc. So there is a structure behind that, which I'm going to show you now. Tournament series are created for a certain type of matches, a certain structure. So, for example, a series would include only 1 versus 1 tournaments, or another would include only 2 versus 2. We're not mixing between the formats, so we keep them separate. Then, as I mentioned before, we have a table here basically showing you the number of points you would win by achieving a certain a certain round. So because we have we've set for now a maximum of 1,024 players. The maximum number of rounds we can have in a single elimination tournament would be 10. So the 10th round is basically the final. The 9th is are the semifinals, and so on and so forth. So we always, depending on the number of participants, we would always have a certain number of rounds, and we don't actually start by 1. We start somewhere. Let's say here, if we had 5 rounds, then it starts from round 6, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the number of points you earn are accumulated. So, for instance, if you win, if we have 4 rounds and you win in round 1, you're going to start by winning 172 points here. Then you win in round 2, you're going to win 245 points. Let's say that you then lose in the semi-final, which is 9 here, you're going to win 280 points. So the total number of points you will earn is this, 172 plus 245 plus 280. Okay, so if you're winning the tournament, you will basically win the sum of 172, 145, 350, and 500. Okay, so the sum of that is what you would earn for winning a 6 stars tournament. Now, don't pay attention to this table because this is all dummy data, obviously, and for testing purpose only. Okay. The other thing you will see is that there's a number of tournaments which are linked to that series. So that's what I mentioned before. Again, we could have in the same series tournament, hosted on JeeSports by different tournament organizers. So again, if we work together as an associations of tournaments and host them on JeeSports, then we can achieve that. And based on the notoriety, we would give more or less stars to a specific tournament. Now, let's look at what it looks like in the front end on JeeSports itself. So I would go to tournaments, and for our early users, you would notice that this section here has changed. Well, we've introduced this section since we introduced tournament series. So you see that you can search for tournaments, and you can search them by number of stars or not rated. Not all tournaments have to belong to a series. You can search by type, match type, and so on and so forth. Okay. The other thing you notice in the listing is you're able to see the number of stars a tournament has before you sign up. So this one has no rating, this one has 6, and this one has 5. We could have, one with 1 star, and so on and so forth. Okay, so immediately you know the number of stars the tournament you're about to or you're considering signing up to has. Okay, now if we look at a tournament itself, let's have a look at this one, for example. You would notice that you see that flag here, okay, 6 stars tournament. You also see some new information, series tournaments, and you can view all the tournaments of that same series. And here, series ranking. So basically, the overall ranking for all the tournaments who belong to that series. Okay, so viewing the tournament is very simple. I just go there, and these tables here tells me that in this series, I have all these tournaments, and I can go to each of them, or I can, page details, or I can go straight to their ranking page. So which I'll do now. So here is the ranking for a specific tournament, and as you see, user 8 here has won that tournament, and a total number of points. The score is 1,700. Okay, 2 out of 2 basically means that he won 2 matches out of 2, and here user 11, who is second, means that he's gone all the way to the final but lost in the final, and for that, he earned a total score of 1,500. So you can reconcile this if you look at the brackets. The brackets here, you see user 8 is first, user 11 is second, user 10 finished basically in a semifinal, and that's what we look at. So you see here that because user 10 and user 1 have both finished in the semifinals, they get the same number of points. So it's based on the round you end, you finish in, and if you won or if you lost. Okay, so if I go back and look at the bracket here, if let's say user 10 and user 1 have both basically lost in that round, so they get the same number of points. Okay, the third round and third place and 5 fifth place, brackets don't really come into consideration when we're looking at that. Okay. So I could go to another, of these tournaments and look at the ranking as well. So let's go to tournament 3, and here I see the ranking. I see that more people participated to that one, as I can see here. And I see again, user 9 won, user 8 lost in the final, and so on and so forth. Okay. So now if I go back and I look at the overall ranking of that series, here I go. So this is a ranking section you have here. You can read that. Don't pay attention to the content here. It's dummy. And you can see the overall ranking for that series. Okay, so user 8 overall in the series won 4 matches out of 6, for instance. His position after StarCraft 1 versus 1 in fight number 4 is unchanged, meaning that if we switch to 3, he was probably number 1 at the time as well. Okay, and you see that user 9 is second. User 1, that is an interesting one, has won. Basically, user 1 is third, and his rank has increased since last tournament, and it has increased by four places. Okay, and he's won 1 match out of 4, and a total of that. Okay, so if we have a look at the overall ranking after another tournament, okay, we see that user 1 here was number 7, and my guess is for having gone up by 4 places, user 1 probably won this specific tournament. So that's it for the tournament series. Again, the idea is very simple. You have a number of tournaments. Each of them is rated from 1 to 6, or some might be 0, meaning that they don't belong to a series. And the more rated a tournament is, the more points you would potentially earn by finishing first, for instance, during that tournament. And the idea then is, because we have that overall series ranking, we can then either end up there and say, well, user 8 is our series winner, or we could, for example, have tournaments, a final tournament, some sort of playoff between, let's say, the top 8 or the top 16 of the series, with hopefully a decent prize pool. So that's it. I think you got it all for tournament series, and I'll see you soon online on JeeLounge, JeeSports, or JeePlays. Thank you.